Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. As you guys see, I've been doing some videos about when a man does not take care of his child and all that good stuff. And one thing you will realize on my channel is that I keep things balanced. If you check out my playlist, you'll see I have a variety of videos on different things and different topics. I'm never here just all about talking about women and just talking about men, or I'm not biased in any way. Sometimes people see one video and they think that's all I talk about, but I will encourage you to check out my content and you'll see that everyone is addressed. So I want to talk today quickly about women. If you play games with a man and his child, sometimes you're going to end up losing that man altogether, meaning he will not have he will have nothing to do with you or the children. There are some men, they have to be that extreme. You have to understand that men have the ability to do that. They have the ability to compartmentalize. They have the ability to make tough choices and decisions. When you have someone in your life, a man who wants to be with his children, who loves them, he's being a father to them, and you're playing games, and I'm talking in scenarios. Women can do this in marriages as well, where the father is just like he's one of the kids. He might as well just have a sippy cup, where the woman does not give him a voice. He cannot make any corrections. He can't do anything. And ladies, I will say that you have to really work on that. You carry the child, but that is not all your child. Okay, you had nothing to carry. You had that man not giving his seed to you, and his seed would not been able to flourish into a child had he not had your body. Okay, so it's an equal thing. Okay, the children, if I'm remembering, we're all made up, we're 50-50, of our parents' chromosomes and all that good stuff, DNA, genetics that ensues and follows. But ladies, you can't take on that mentality. And sometimes women, they will have children to have leverage, to have a hold, and then they stop caring, and then they use the child, and then the man who's married to you will realize he's pretty much just, like a roommate or something, or the babysitter. The only time he can have the kids is when you want to go somewhere, when you want to do things, when you want him to hold the child, for you to be able to go in the shower or to do whatever. And even then, he won't even have the freedom to make any decisions because you're telling him exactly how he needs to do things and what. And if he does anything, you're taking a baby away from him. And ladies, you need to stop doing that. You are not his mother. I notice that sometimes some women, you complain that men are not mature, but sometimes it's not that. It's some of them, they're not mature and they're not doing what they need to do, but a lot of times you're doting and you are like, you got that man handpicked. He has no voice. If he wants to put something on the child, you have a problem with that. You have a problem with how he does stuff. You have a problem with how he feeds or what he does. And there's nothing wrong with saying, hey, helping out, but sometimes you are literally harping on everything, so you make him uncomfortable. And so it's not that he doesn't want to be involved. You don't allow him to. He's on edge constantly because now you're henpecking that man. Now you are going on about something again. And so that man will withdraw, and he could be right there in the house with you just doing what he needs to do, but then you're annoyed if you feel like he's not involved, but then you want to dictate to what degree he's supposed to be involved. So you got to make up your mind. Some women, the whole purpose was to have that man's child. Prior to having a child or whatever the case is, maybe there was some uncertainty in the relationship, or there was just something that the woman had in her mind as far as what is the ideal accomplishment. And once she has the baby, the man becomes insignificant, okay? He becomes insignificant. She will no longer have interest in him. Things will change because now there's something she's accomplished that surpasses him. And so the man will only be there for just logistics, okay? And no interest. And so sometimes the wife would not even have interest in her husband sexually. She's always tired. She does a lot of things. Some women, they don't allow the man to do anything with the children. Okay, he can't be involved. She's always doing everything, but then she's always complaining about being tired. but everything has to be done her way. And so they end up having conflicts. So she thinks it's just better to just do it on her own anyway. Give me the baby, do this, take the child, and or take the child when I want to go somewhere. So it's like you have a babysitter you happen to marry. So just something to look at, ladies. Always look at yourself in the mirror. It's not always the man. It's not always the man. And you have to examine, where do you get that bossy dictator behavior from? It comes from somewhere. Okay? And sometimes you have to look at the fact that or consider that maybe you got married with the wrong intentions. Some people, they really idealize marriage. They are all about it, and everybody in your life is just moving pieces. But you're the one that's making the decisions, and it's all about you. This does not apply to everyone. But when you're treating a man like a child, and he can't pick up his kids, he can't do this, if he goes somewhere, you're the one that's doing everything. And sometimes he may need your help, obviously. Okay, there are things, admittedly, as women, we can do better and faster than men. Sometimes they dress the baby and they're looking like, Willy Bobo or something. So you're like, no, they're not going to go outside like that. Okay, sometimes it's just too extreme. Okay, they didn't add the top to the bottom. You got to be like, hey, the top for that is in this drawer. And I believe if you show him, he knows. Okay, or he may ask you, can you dress the baby? There's nothing wrong with that, and he does other things. Okay, so in marriage, this is what I've covered so far. But there's some of you, you're not married, okay, or now you're divorced, or whatever the case may be, and now the children become a source of gains, okay? They're like chess pieces. This man loves the child very much, and so you don't play games with him. You don't allow him to see the baby. You're not allowing him to get the baby. You're giving him a hard time. You don't care about his time, so you may keep him from the baby. You don't let him see the baby when he wants to, but when you want to go do something, he needs to come and get the baby now, or you should be able to drop the baby off whenever. And if he happens to be doing something at the time, then your threat is, oh, well, then you just won't see your child next time. So my way or the highway. Well, ladies, that can backfire. If you continue to play games with that man, you want to dictate his life. You don't like who he's dating. You don't like who he's with. And guys, that's just one of the things that can occur when you are single and you have a child. That man is not with you, or he's just your boyfriend or whatever, and then you have a child. There's a possibility that you guys won't get married. And if he does not marry you, he can end up being with somebody else just like you can. And so what you find is lots of parents who have babies out of wedlock or a child, what they do is there's this fight about, don't have my baby around this person or that person, but you guys didn't care enough to remain together or maybe get married, get to know one another first and marry and create a stable environment for the child. And sometimes it's not that you don't care, but you're thinking about yourself, what you wanted and your pleasures before just, hey, let me ensure that this is the right one, and before I bring a child into the world. So then now there are all these principles that pops up after the fact. And so people want to control who's around my baby, and listen, unless that child is in danger or something like that, you're going to have to just accept that man's going to be with somebody else. You as a father have to accept that a woman is not your commodity. She's not your property. She's not a part of your shoe collection, game collection, jacket collection, whatever you have, music collection. She's not a commodity. So having your child does not mean she's supposed to stay. You have control over her, because some men do that. And that's why, ladies, it's so important that you be careful who you have a child with. We live in a society where it really encourages sex before marriage, living together before marriage, having a baby before marriage. It's very common to see people that are getting married and their baby, their children are there. It's grown very common, okay? Things happen. I'm not knocking people for it, but there's a reason why the Lord speaks about marriage, because even though, yes, there can be disappointments in marriage, you can get even more when you're single, okay? Because the person is even less obligated to you just because they have a sweater at your shirt, at your church, I mean, in your closet or at your house or whatever. He has a freedom, she has a freedom to just leave. So, getting back to the topic, if you keep playing games with that man, okay, you deny him seeing the child, you want to control everything that he's doing. When you want him to get the child, he needs to just be ready impromptu. If he has plans, some of you are very vindictive. You know he's going to be doing something, and so you want him to keep the baby, and you create this whole conflict, and you're using his baby, and you can frustrate him. So then some men, they just succumb to you. They give in. They do whatever they need to do to get their child. And when you know that, then you keep playing the games. Now you realize you can control him. But eventually, I will tell you, sometimes there are men who make the decision to cut you off and to cut the child off. And the reason why he does it is not that he doesn't love his child, but sometimes that man has to keep his mind straight to keep himself from denting your forehead in, from caving in your whole entire forehead. Sometimes that man, he begins to hurt so much, he thinks about killing you. Sometimes that man hurts so much, he could end up thinking about killing you, killing the baby, and killing himself. It's very serious when you're deliberately playing games with a man, with his child. It's a different type of hurt and pain, and it can drive him to a point where he can't think, he can't eat, he's so angry, he's so frustrated. And then women, there's certain type of women, I call them the banshee women. They deal with conflict. There's no reasoning. They're cackling and laughing and teasing that man and doing things and saying things and disrespecting him. So what he has to do is just completely separate himself. And ladies, I don't blame any man for doing something like that. It's better he do what he needs to do to safeguard all of y'all and himself than for you to lead him off the edge. If that is what he needs to do, that is a very responsible thing to do. So then what happens? Then when these type of women realize he's not calling anymore, he's not interested in anything anymore, he's not responding, now you get into you're supposed to be a father and this and that and the other, and you're complaining about everything. Now you want him to have the child, and he's not coming to get the child. And now you want to talk about all these different things, or these women want to go on about him not being a father and he's a deadbeat. No, you're a deadbeat. You're the deadbeat mom first. You were deadbeat because you were denying the child the rights to the father. You was deadbeat because you would not allow him to be a part of the child's life and bond. You were the deadbeat. So he's not deadbeat. He's being responsible. He's separating. Now, with that, I always say, if a man has to do that, you should still carry out your financial obligations and do things the right way. Men, if you have to separate, you go to and find out, call the paternity place, get your paternity test done, and put yourself on child support. Go to the courts, because if you keep on having these type of relationships where it's just you're trying to decide and you got to meet her to give her the money and all, it's going to be drama. So there are men that they want to keep their life clean. They want to keep those clean lines so he can focus on working, focus on bettering himself, focus on doing what he needs to do to be a father for the future, for the lineage of his child. And there's some men, they have to do that. The only way they can do that is to cut all y'all off. And he's not cutting the child off. He's cutting you off in your foolishness. The child just lives with you. The child does not have any decisions. The child cannot make any decisions. The child cannot do anything. So he's not doing anything against the child. You created that situation, and he had to leave. And the child is yours. The child lives with you. Now, you can be dramatic if you want to, and you give him his child. And I will say, if that happens, men, try to get custody of your child. Okay, because if you just want to drop the child off, let's say some women, they just abandon the child. And so the men they'll have the child, but they don't do what they need to do to ensure that their child remains with them. And so on the eve before Christmas, Years later, when she feels like being a mom, she'll pop up and want her child, and that's it. Okay? Or after she's had her fun and did whatever she want to do, and life start getting hard, she's starting to think, I could be getting child support and want to play a game. Such women exist. So women, you can't have your cake and eat it too. You keep playing games with that man, he just might leave you alone, cut you off. As I said, man, don't allow conflict between you and a woman to cause you not to take care of your child, to cause you not to, pay child support, do what you can do financially. It's not as scary as some of you all may think. You go and you contact the courts or whatever you do. I believe that stuff is free, okay? And ask them to help you. Listen, I'm a single father. I'm trying to do the right thing. Can you help me? What are the first steps? And they'll show you, okay? Because if you don't establish certain things, and if you don't establish the courts if you don't get the court involved, especially when you're dating a woman that's just all over the place and just emotional and play games, the best thing you could ever do is have the courts overseeing that. And when you pay your child support, you do what you need to do. It'll come out of your check to whatever degree. They're going to look and see what you make. And, if you don't really have a major job yet, or you're still in school, or you're still bettering yourself, they're going to go based on that. So it won't be much. But as you get older, as you get a better job and more income, then they'll look at it again. You be responsible and you do the right thing. And when you do those things, that support is going to her, and you're doing what you need to do. Okay? And when there's issues and dramas and she doesn't want you to see the child, you can just call those people up because you have to deal with her. You call those people up. And ladies, you have to realize that is what can happen. And then, unfortunately, there are some men that when they cut you off, they cut the children off, they cut everybody off. There's some men that go that bad. They go that far. It is not a good thing to do. It's not a mature thing to do. I believe they should still support their child, because a child is not made by themselves. Whether you are mad at the mother, the father or not, it doesn't change that is still their child. Okay? And you deny them that opportunity, or, it's abandoning them. So at least be doing the right thing. So if that child comes later on in life, you can show, look, I've been taking care of you. I've been doing what I need to do. You're old enough now to make your decisions. And then hopefully you can establish a relationship from there. But women, when that man leaves you and doesn't want to have anything to do with you, you can't get mad if you've been playing games with a baby, because that can happen. Something about men, if you keep hurting them with their child, there's something they need to do, which is they seal their hearts off, and they will drop you and walk away from you because you're playing a dangerous game. Some men, they will murder you. When you're playing with a child, they'll kill you. If you're telling him, oh, this man, and taking pictures of a man with their son or their daughter and telling him this person's a better father, you're hurting and you're being vindictive. And the only thing that man could do is cut you off, you and the child. And when he does it, there's the whole narrative. But guess what? That man will go reestablish himself, get his mind right, get mature, do what he needs to do, meet another woman, build a family, and then now your feelings are hurt, and now you want him to come and pick up his first precious born, because now you're seeing he's doing well. And now you're trying to use your child like a smoke grenade, because you're always weaponizing the child. You're jealous he's done well. You're jealous he has other children. Now, this is ridiculous. And men, this is why you have to be careful again who you have children with. You be having children with these women who have low morals, no character, nothing to lose. They had a nice body, but they had no character. They loud. They behave a certain way. And yes, there are lots of things that happened in their childhood that perhaps contributed to that, but that's not for you to build. That's for her to grow and to realize. And she can change if she chooses to, but it's you going, you just looking at how gorgeous she is and how sweet she's appearing to seduce you. Then you're going to have a baby with her. And now she is just got hoof prints all over your life, causing problems, galloping through the potato salad at a family reunion, don't know how to act. Because you saw her body, but you didn't look at her character. So you must be careful, because this type of woman can be in your life constantly. Will be in your life constantly, causing trouble, causing problems when you grow, when you mature, when you get to this place of growing and being better. She's still there, just carrying on your front lawn, in your nice neighborhood, come to your job, doing all types of stuff in the parking lot, carrying, I'm my day. You don't want that. So, I did a video on my other channel. It's called Big Sister 824. Check it out. It's my baby channel. I say guard your sperm. Protect and guard your sperm. Stop having children. Do not allow yourself to have children with just any old person, any old woman. Because there's some women, they look at you, they see that you're going to go somewhere, they look at your family, your background, and they're like, I want to be a part of his life. And then there's some women, it had nothing to do with that. Y'all were both young, immature, you made some decisions, but now she wants control. Sometimes these women are being guided by their old hardened mamas. And so they're getting advice from somebody who made poor choices, and it's about controlling you. And so women, you have to think, you have to evaluate yourself. You look in the mirror and say, why am I doing this? And do better. And you apologize, and you learn to co-parent, and learn to do the right things. And in the future, don't put the cart before the horse. Sometimes we make mistakes. Sometimes we do things following the ways of this world that says, oh, you live together and have a child and all of this, but it's unstable. And why it's unstable is because you never know. You have to think, why won't this person marry me? If the person's not willing to marry you, there's a reason why. They're willing to live with you is because, okay, I can still have some benefits. We can still do some things, but if it doesn't work, I can leave. That's the end of it. That's the bottom line. If they're willing to live with you but not marry you, there's a reason why. So guys, I'm going to stop there because that's another whole video in itself. I do have other videos that talk about different things, but don't play games with a man's child, because what can happen is, worst case scenario, that man kills you. That man hurts you. You push him too far. Worst case scenario, depending on his psyche, that man could hurt that baby. Pick up that child and you never see that child again, because he'd rather throw that child somewhere. And I'm telling you, hurt and pain and frustration can cause a man, especially if you keep hurting him. Not all men would do this, but some men, they'll rather just get rid of that baby. They don't care about going to jail. They just don't want to hear your mouth no more. Stop playing around. You don't know people. You don't know what pain will do. You don't know what it'd be like to deliberately just be dangling a child in front of him like, that's right, I got your child and I'm going to do this. And that man will take your head clean off. So be careful. It is not worth it. And so the worst thing that will happen is death. Murder, suicides, all kinds of stuff. Not all murder-suicide happens because of that, but it can. Okay? And then the other thing that can happen, he just cut you and that child off. Why? For his peace of mind. Don't play games with nice people, because most nasty and rude women never find and look for a nasty and rude and disrespectful man. They're normally looking for someone that's the opposite, so they can carry on and behave how they normally behave. They're not going to have that guy that's going to pick them up by their neck. They're going to look for the nice guy. So it's deliberate in the pickings. Ladies, time to grow. Time for accountability. You understand? And again, I say there are exceptions. Sometimes a woman, she has to keep her child by her side when the father is irresponsible. If the children come and they've been hurt, things have happened. He's not doing the things he need to do. You have to make choices like, listen, until you get your stuff together, I have to keep my children here. I can't afford for my children to die. I can't afford for my children to be hospitalized because of you. You know what I mean? Because sometimes there are fathers that when they have their children, all kinds of little things are going on where the children are being hurt. They're not being taken care of. Some things can happen and you have to make that decision as a mom, or even vice versa. If it was the father noticing something that the mother is doing. So ladies, don't play the game. You'll end up throwing the baby out with the bathwater trying to play games with a baby. That man cuts you off. And that is a responsible thing for him to do. When he cuts you off, he cuts that baby off, yes, he's being responsible for himself because you're pushing him. So he may just take care of his baby, do what he can, but never ever reach out to you again. Never ever show up. Never ever be there again. He may wait for that child to grow up, and if that child accepts him, fine. If not, he'd still be separate because he has not allowed himself to bond with the child anymore because of the games that you're playing. I'm not saying that it's okay for men to just abandon their children and run off and do what they want to do. I'm not encouraging that. But a man who wants to be a part of his child's life and you keep playing games and you keep hurting him, he has to step away from you. He has to, because a lot of times men end up becoming so weary, being in toxic relationships with someone who behaves so poorly. He can't even have a decent life. He can't have his friendships, everything. Even with his friends, he has issues because here you come with the loudness and the noise and the drama and the this and the that. With his family dynamics are messed up. Relationships, that's all messed up. He can't focus because of how you behave. And so to save himself, and out of fear of the dark thoughts and ideas that stir in his mind what to do to you, he'll leave you and that baby alone. That means by any means necessary, he's going to stay away from you. And all you be getting is some dollars. And then you need to stop doing what you're doing. Now you're going to start complaining and starting problems about the money. But you know, he doesn't have to respond to you. He does not have to respond to you anymore. Anything you need to talk about, go and contact the child support office. You think he needs to pay more money? Go to the child support office. They will evaluate those things, but that man can completely stonewall you. So guys, this video went on quite a bit. Don't play games with that children. It's going to backfire on you. Because men are not like women. They're going to move on. They're going to do what they need to do. And I will encourage any man, if you're in a situation like that, you have to do what you need to do for your mind. You're not going to be any good for anybody else if there's someone that is pushing you so far. If you've ever thought about hurting her, thought about hurting the baby, thought about hurting yourself, don't allow those things to fester. Safeguard yourself. Do what you need to do. But never think to hurt that baby. Never think to hurt her, even if she can be a pain. That her yelling and screaming and being irritating, it's not equal to murder, okay? No one deserves to be killed. Not for that. It's best for you to pull back, do what you need to do. Pay your child support. Do the things that you need to do. Keep in close contact with those organizations that can help you with those things. If there are changes and things, you can refer her to that. If she wants to argue with you about child support or whatever, you tell her, you contact the office, do what you need to do. I have nothing to do with that. Don't get into anything with her, okay? Because unfortunately, there are women who live to behave this way. All they wanted was to have your seed, to have your child, and then from there, they're going to make your life hell. All right, guys. Thanks for listening.